Richelle Ahlvers, a storage technology enablement architect with Intel and vice chair of SNIA. I've worked across many different aspects of storage technologies, but my primary focus has always been around data center and ecosystem manageability. There are many new and emerging technologies in the storage space, new application models driving data and storage segmentation, and some other technical dimensions that we could spend time to look at today. But since we really only have a few minutes, I'm going to focus in on a few examples of some recent and emerging storage technologies that are of interest to standards and talk about how some of the standards, industry consortiums, and open communities can, and in fact are, working together to accelerate adoption of these new technologies by partnering together. Let's take a look at some of these bigger trends. Note that these are affecting customers of all sizes and really everyone from SMB through enterprise data centers. First, cloud storage. While cloud storage has been around for several years, this includes all technologies from private clouds to hybrid clouds to public clouds. Today, there's really an acceleration of customers planning adoption of multi-cloud storage, particularly for file share storage type applications. Next, computational storage. This computational storage architecture is really interesting. This is talking about how we move compute closer to the storage. This is not talking about moving all compute closer to the storage. This is talking about looking at how we optimize particular workloads that are very data intensive and moving the compute for those workloads and co-locating that closer to the data. There's a lot of other interesting things going on, like data accelerators. So taking and, again, optimizing for particular workloads and moving that data movement placements in conjunction with the storage. You've probably also heard a lot about CXL. Well, the CXL consortium has grown to over 200 member companies in the last few years, and it's working on some interesting technologies, taking and working with cache coherency and cache coherent disaggregation, taking 3 different layers, the CXL.io, CXL.mem, and CXL.cache, and integrating solutions together across 3 different stacks to provide coherency across memory and I/O layers. We also have expanding storage fabric technologies with NVMe and NVMe over fabrics, as well as memory fabrics, prevalent fabrics in the market, Ethernet, InfiniBand, Fiber Channel. How do we expand and drive not just increased traffic over those fabrics, but how do we look at moving from dedicated fabrics to shared fabrics, and how do we also work on managing across those fabrics and doing so in an increasingly heterogeneous way. And there's also been a large shift in how data centers are managed. We're seeing a lot more a shift from dedicated resources to shared resources in manageability. So there's been a lot of work also in shifting from dedicated to shared resources, not in the human aspect as well. So there's a lot of work going on both in the resources, in the technologies, as well as in the manageability stack. There's also been some really interesting new work that's starting to ramp up in archive capabilities. As the data explosion is happening, there's a new study happening around how we're going to continue to store data for the long term. We have a new group that has been incorporated as part of SNIA that's called DNA data storage. They're looking at how we could potentially sequence and store data within DNA. This is a way to potentially store data for an extended period of time. So, as I noted, a lot of really cool stuff happening in storage and in the management of data. So with all of these and more new and divergent technologies, how do industry associations like SNIA influence these technologies and help accelerate adoptions? Okay, so clearly that's a lot of work. So let's take a look at the breadth of technologies that SNIA actually covers. SNIA is a combined standards development organization and trade association. That means it does both standards technical development, producing standards both directly as well as submitting them through ISO, making them international standards, as well as doing vendor-neutral technology and education and promotion. So as you can see here, SNIA coverage of storage technologies is extremely broad. From the development of specifications for physical connectors used by all types of storage devices and interconnected devices, to cloud storage, to persistent memory and computational storage, as well as DNA data storage. Then there are technologies that support the others. Network storage, working across any type of network technology. Green storage, developing specs and programs like SNIA Emerald, and working with the EPA to develop Energy Star for storage requirements. And of course, storage management. Manageability is a required component of every technology. We're developing the SNIA storage for specification in this space. And then last but not least, security and privacy as another critical area. So these are the elements of SNIA, but these are strengthened through alliances with other standards development organizations, consortiums, and open communities. These come in several forms. Associations, such as the SCSI Trade Association and the Fiber Channel Industry Association, help promote these base underlying technologies used across the industries. Then we have some key manageability alliances. With DMTF, we have jointly developed multiple manageability standards and frameworks. And also now with NVM Express, we have worked in multiple areas as well. Again, in manageability, partnering to incorporate NVMe and NVMe over fabrics into storage and data center management, and to work on emerging technologies as well, such as computational storage. We also have partnerships, like work with the Green Grid, to direct green storage applications to the data center. With the CXL Consortium, we're partnering to develop and refine the application of CXL technology to persistent memory, such as accelerating the enablement of key value add, like the pooled persistent memory with this combined technology, as well as looking at what are the storage applications to CXL. In the open community space, partnerships with the Open Compute Project are identifying needed use cases and bringing those into SNIA to ensure that the specifications are in place to cover those use cases. That spans everything from connectors and form factors to manageability to computational storage as well. Similarly, in the Open Fabrics Alliance, SNIA is working with OFA identified use cases to ensure that the SNIA Swordfish spec covers the targeted use cases and partners with other groups to deliver comprehensive education on the technologies. With OFA, we have a multi-way partnership working with SNIA, OFA, DMTF, CXL, and NVMe. Similarly, we work in the same fashion with SODA. Orchestration management of storage identifies key use cases and can partner with SNIA to ensure that the required functionality is available in the SNIA Swordfish spec and thus implementations. As you can see, the key to the partnerships between the standards organizations and the open communities becomes key to leveraging the open community's focus on identifying those key use cases and then partnering with the groups to develop the specifications and the standards to ensure that those use cases are covered in the corresponding standards. This then is how we accomplish our joint goals, accelerating the development of new technologies and helping drive adoption by working together.